Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness each and every Monday. My name's Dylan Blunt. Joining me on the couch this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about games.
You got it, that's
About
right. Video games.
zombies,
video game
right?
Podcast.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm gonna, zombies.
This
is a
week
guess
on the
in case.
show, Zombies, Dead
Oh,
Island
good.
2, review. You got it, you guessed it. That's right. Also, is Cops first person in the game a good idea? And what else happened at the Nintendo Anywhere Direct?
Are those two related?
No, they're not. At least as far as I'm aware, they're not related. So, yeah, that is what is on the show this week. You haven't been playing anything. Have you been playing anything? No.
No.
Cool. So you hate video
I've
games?
not
Fuck you.
booted up my Horizon game yet.
No.
Sidetracked.
You know what you should be playing? You should be playing Marvel Snap with a new card called Jeff.
I have bought Jeff. I just need to
What a
figure
good
out
boy.
a deck to steer him in.
What a good boy. Do you want to tell me the? Do you want to tell me the? Do you want to tell me the combo?
Yeah, sure.
It's Professor X and then Jeff.
Oh.
Yeah, Professor X. He can't play cards anymore. Boom, shot goes in. Or you play Jeff on turn 2, and they're like, "Oh, this is crazy," and then you're Professor X on turn 5, and then you move Jeff into Professor X. Boom, fuck ya. Yeah, that's the combo. I'm sure there's other cool things, but that's like the most obvious sort of.
It's like, oh my god, it's Jeff. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's Jeff. It's coming in.
Jeff
For
fucking
people who
in.
don't know, they added a card called Jeff to Marvel Snap. It's this Marvel. It's a real Marvel character. It's a little shark from Gwenpool. Never heard of it, but when this card popped up the other day, I was like, that is the cutest fucking shark I've ever seen in my life, and I need that in my life. And then I googled Jeff, and now I very much want this character to be
In everything.
like in everything. It's just this
It's
fucking adorable shark.
Fuck
I don't know
Kang.
what
Let's
the-
just have Jeff.
No,
the
really,
movies.
fuck Kang though, right? I mean, that's a whole different thing. So, let me start with the major review that went up this past week. I feel like this embargo was like last week. I swear to Lord, like this is a very early embargo, which usually a good sign. Dead Island 2 review that I did for the website explosionhour.com. I gave it a 7.5. I said Dead Island 2 knows exactly what it wants to be. It goes for the juggler with extreme melee combat, dismembering slow motion finishing moves. There's plenty of love here, and if you can accept some of the repetitive nature that comes hand in hand with the game's commitment to beating zombies to death, quite literally, if you want a faster paced zombie game or something with a more substantial story, there'll be a better game for you. AKA, basically, I feel like the thing is, if you love Dying Light and you want more Dying Light, Dead Island 2 is not going to be the game for you, because this is very much like not that at all. I haven't played Dying Light, to clarify, but just not like from, I've watched videos and all that sort of stuff. This is a very different game. So Dead Island 2, for people who don't know, it is a sequel to a game that came out like 10 years ago. And they've been trying to make and put out this sequel.
They've been trying to make a sequel for like that
forever.
entire time.
Yeah, pretty much. It's gone through different development phases, teams,
Who
all
was
this sort of
making it?
stuff.
There was like a reasonably big studio that was working.
Yeah, and then they canned it and stuff like that. There's people were tweeting out stories about how people have seen behind closed doors versions of this game years ago.
Because it was also the
Completely
infamous trailer, right?
No, the infamous trailer is the first game.
Really?
Very
The one where
somber.
running along the run
Yeah,
along the
one Goat Simulator ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first game.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that one came out. But the thing with the first Dead Island trailer was the trailer was nothing like the game. So the game was more silly, and the trailer was like The Last of Us. So it's sort of rubbing against the grain with that one. But this game is not set on an island.
bullshit. False advertising.
False advertising there. Did you find an answer?
SEC. Well, Techland was originally
Yes, they did the first
development.
one.
And then
And then they did Dying Light.
Jaeger Development did a deal.
Mm.
And then Sumo Digital came involved at some point. And then eventually Dan Buster Studios made the game.
Which is like it's a Deep Silver studio.
Yes.
It's like a second studio thing. Yeah. So this game is, so unlike the first one, which was actually set on an island, this one's set in LA. The game starts with, sort of just chucks you straight in, has this pretty cool cutscene, introduces all 6 of the characters that you can choose to play as. You've got like, this, I don't know, you got like a rollerblade chick who's I spent most of the time playing as like sort of a rockabilly style thing. You've got like a stripper who happens to be in a fireman outfit at the time of the zombie apocalypse happening. You've got famous actress. You've got like sort of all these different types of people. They all get in this plane, and then of course someone turns into a zombie on the plane right as they're already just gotten to there, and then it comes back down and it crashes into LA again. When the game starts, you get the pick of one of these 6 characters. They each have 2 different active sort of passive skills that change their playing style. They also have different stats. So like some will have better stamina or defense or health regeneration, overall attack power, all these sorts of things. So they all have different reasons that you may or may not want to play them. And the game does give you 6 save files that you can run through the game as with. So you could run through as every single character if you want to. When you pick which character you're going to play as, I'm pretty sure it's just you're supposed to presume the other 5 characters die because you never interact or see them ever again in the game. I think it's just like whichever one you pick is the one who happens to survive this major plane crash. You get out, you run around, you go into a little bit of mess around on the streets of LA, killing some zombies. Eventually you're bitten. It's revealed that you're somehow immune, which sort of becomes the game's main plot point, which is, hey, I'm immune, so I can sort of go out there and fight the zombies. I can still die if they rip me to pieces, but if I get bit, like, I'm not going to turn. So it makes more sense for your character to be out there than other people. But so you meet these Hollywood types, famous actresses and stuff sort of hold up in their houses. There's side missions involving sort of Charles Heston, like other types hidden out that you can do to save them and bring them back to the mansion and stuff. But the core story is, hey, I've got this ability to survive. I should find a way to contact the army so they can maybe use me to find a cure, etc., etc., etc. Things take some weird turns eventually here. The game's not really about the story though. It's literally just, will you have fun destroying zombies' heads with a plethora of mostly melee weapons? And I say mostly because the first 10 hours of this game is roughly, I guess it depends if you're rushing through the game or not, but the first at least half of your playtime with this, even if you are rushing through the main campaign story missions and no side content, you're going to have nothing but melee weapons. Eventually, you will hit a gun, but melee combat is where the game's bread and butter is at. So you can pick up something like a bat. You can then upgrade it and add it so it has like an electric pole on it, and then you can add like prods to the end and all this sort of stuff. So eventually you go from these weapons that just, it's just that you can beat enemies over the head to you can beat enemies over the head or fucking electrocute them at the same time. But then you can also use that same electric weapon to, if enemies are standing in a puddle or in a pool, you just hit the pool and it'll electrocute all of them. That's pretty cool. You can get weapons that do poison damage, fire damage, like there's all these different elemental things. Does end up playing into to help something of the repetitive nature, because the thing with this game is very quickly, as cool and gory as the zombie stuff is, you eventually do just become like very repetitive in the combat. There's no nuance countering mechanics or anything like that. It's just heavy attack, light attack, fucking smack the shit out of zombies. It tries to add, the game does, it does add as the game progresses different reasons for you to carry around different weapons. So fireman zombies they're immune to fire damage. So if your main weapons are fire elemental type damage, you're only going to be doing base damage around them. So you want to switch up to a different weapon. Same as any zombies that are infected and turned that are scientists and they have like lab coats on stuff, they're not going to take damage from your acid green weapons. A zombie that happened to be a fucking tradie electrician before he turned, he's not going to take damage from your electric weapon. So they do try to encourage you not to just stick with the one weapon and have you constantly upgrade it and stuff like that. You can change them as you go. This game thinks it's Zelda because it has weapons break, but fortunately you can repair them. So unlike Zelda where it's just like, oh, you lost your fucking weapon, I'm like, cool story, dude. You can, as long as you carry around your broken weapon, go to a bench, you can repair them all. So there's no need to fret in that. I really, really like the combat, even if it is repetitive, because it has some of the most absolutely insane gory zombie kills I think I've ever seen in any video game. And not to the point that it's disgusting, because the game is very gory, but also the tone of the game is silly. Like it's meant to be fun and funny. So you're not sitting there in the dark getting scared ever. It's just over the top violence to the point it's sort of redundant, or, like it's that thing about too much violence sort of just takes away the sting of it, which is very much what this game does. Like, if you look at my review, I've literally got a GIF here from a kill I did, like a finishing move where I slammed this fucking pole through the bottom of a zombie's head, and like both her eyeballs pop out of their sockets. Like, it's just it's just ridiculous. But there's this odd one. I put another GIF in of, I got these like Wolverine-esque claw weapon things, and just like straight up hole punch a zombie through the face, like takes his entire face out. Like, I don't know the realistic factor of any of this stuff. It looks fucking cool though.
Who is it? Insomniac. That's what we want.
That's what we want. We want this level of insane claw.
That level of violence
level of violence. Yeah. I mean, you can do other things. Like the third GIF I put in my review is literally a moment where these zombies start coming out of a room, and I just run up and drop kick them, and one goes flying backwards. And then like, it's just, there's some very silly things that you can do in this game. But that's what makes it fun. And this game is, so you can play the entire game single player, you can play it in co-op. So this is where it sort of, it depends on you. Obviously, the repetitive nature, I think, is not going to be as noticeable if you're just fucking around with friends. I do think if you're playing this game on chat and you're just like messing around and laughing at the same time, the combat repetitiveness is probably not going to go and show its head as much as it does if you're playing by yourself. That said, I do think playing the game by yourself is going to be a completely different experience, because you actually have to think a little bit more about your combat, and of course you're there by yourself, and the story of the game being about you, it's just your solo journey sort of thing. It's sort of going to be different. So if you want to do it like 2 playthroughs, I'd say make one save file that's for your single player, and then make a separate save file and you play as a different character if you want to play with a friend or something like that. But you can do full co-op online with randoms. You can jump into people's games. You can queue up and do a game with a friend. Whatever you want to do. You run around, find secrets, and do side missions after you finish the main storyline. That's probably where it's going to be best. The game has lots of secrets. I wouldn't mind going back if I have time to collect up and do some side missions. It's pretty. The thing that I like about this, and compared to a lot of other more recent games like this, and another reason this, if you really love, what did I say before? Not Dying Light. So Dying Light is massive open world, super serious storyline about like zombie apocalypse and shit. It's got free running, wall running, parkour shit, like it's the same as the first game. Day-night cycle, all that stuff. This game has day-night. It has nothing, none of the rest. So it doesn't even have a massive open world. It's got these little sort of biome areas. So you've got the streets of Hollywood, you've got Beverly Hills, you've got these areas you can fast travel to once you go to them, but they're very small in the terms of what you're sort of used to playing in a game. There's lots of buildings and stuff you can usually go into, and little crevices and secrets and stuff to find like that, and you'll unlock shortcuts to get around these areas faster, sort of like a Metroidvania or playing a Souls game or something like that, like unlock a gate that you could unlock from the other side sort of thing, so you can get free houses faster. But it's not this massive open world where you're going to be running around. So even in the streets of LA, or you go to San Francisco, all this sort of stuff, you see cars. You can't just jump into one of the cars and drive it down the street and all that stuff. The game is solely just you're running around. There's no power sliding, no wall running, none of this sort of stuff. So that may annoy some people, but yeah, the game just sort of has a different, it knows the pace and tone that it's going for, and it's not trying to appease anything else. So appreciate it for what it, I appreciate that it knows what it wants to be. So guns, last thing. So you unlock eventually we do unlock guns, pistol, assault weapons, shotguns, all the typical sort of stuff. When you go out into the world, you'll have a full, like, you can buy ammo from vendors before you leave, restock the ammo, put it into the guns. It'll have a max amount you can put into it. And then if you're out in the middle of a mission and you use all that ammo up, zombies aren't dropping it. Like, it's a matter of, you've got that ammo, the only way to refill it is you go back to a base, refill.
All these zombies should have at least a couple of ammo pouches on them.
Yep, just dropping it. And that's the exact ammo that you need for your gun.
Yep. Yeah, they're all the same, right?
Yeah, I think it's all the same, yeah.
Just all AK-47.
Yeah. So the guns do feel good.
AR-15s, ammo, that's all you need.
The guns do feel good, but the other thing that really weirded me out is that the game does this whole storyline at start where it's such a hard ask apparently to find a gun, and I'm like, would it really? Can we not just break into literally any house here and find a gun? You're telling me that the guns are such a scarcity in America, in fucking Los Angeles, San Francisco, Beverly Hills. Like, come on. That was a bit silly, but I appreciate that the guns are treated as this. So if you're going into a level or you're going to do a big mission, you know, do you save them? Do you use them to get rid of some of the smaller enemies? You know, do you want to save it so you can just unload? I mean, you can bring more guns with you if you want, but then you got to trade. So you have like, I think 6 spaces for weapons. So you could technically make one a melee weapon and buy and collect or upgrade a bunch of other guns. But then if you use them all and you run out of ammo and then you break your melee weapon, you're just down to fists. So yeah, the game is very much like, hey, melee weapons first, guns are backup, or the big guns, you know, that you pull them out against the boss fight sort of stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I do think it's a fun, dumb time, especially if you like beating the living fuck out of zombies, and you can appreciate the redundancy of some of it and just get a laugh out of it, which I did. So, good time.
Good time.
If it's for you. I don't think it's for you though, Ash, to be honest.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not scary, but I'm like, I don't know.
No, it's just like, well, do I really need to run around and shoot a bunch of zombies?
No.
Is this the zombie game that I need to play? Probably not.
What's up with zombie game?
I mean, all the zombie games, I guess.
Have you ever played
what would be the number one zombie game you would say someone needs to play?
Resident Evil?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think the answer was going to be?
I don't know.
Resident Evil.
Some would say The Last of Us, but they're not zombies.
That's a correct answer. They're not zombies.
Or some would say Days Gone, not zombies.
They're not zombies either. Now, if you were asking what's the best zombie-adjacent game I should play, maybe then I can say
zombie-like.
Zombie-like game, The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Pure zombie game, we'll go Resident Evil.
What about Walking Dead?
No, I'd still say Resident Evil.
Okay.
There's only other one.
Dylan, breaking news right now.
Okay. Hit me.
Our poll that we put out last week.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Discussing.
Did it just finish?
It just finished. The question was, you only have 2 options. Which would you choose? 1080p with 60 frames per second or 4K with 30 frames per second? 28 votes came in. 75% of people said 1080p, 60 frames per second. Are you surprised by these results?
No.
Shocked?
No, I'm not. Are you?
No, not really. Because all these people are stupid, wanting their frames, all concerned about so many frames. I mean, none of these matter anyway, you know, as long as it runs. Doesn't matter how pretty or good it looks, all right?
I mean, you do understand that the frame thing is about a quality of life running, not a visual thing, right?
You can't even perceive it. It's fine.
Anyway, the people have spoken, and I was on the right side of history, as I usually am. Thank you, dear Twitter voters. Kieran.
Or you have a bunch of dummy
fucked.
accounts.
Nope. Only one. And I didn't use it. I should have, though. That's a good point. In the future, I should make sure to, you know.
Use it for polls, because you can't track.
That's right.
That.
No one can see if I vote, so that's right. So only one other review went up this week. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'll talk about it in Platinum Explosion. But the Horizon Burning Shores, Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC came out. I put up a review for that. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'll discuss it in length on Platinum Explosion because I can go into spoilers. Not for the DLC, but for Horizon Forbidden West there. And I will have it's a fucking PlayStation podcast I can talk about it. But it is impossible to talk about the DLC without talking about Horizon Forbidden West spoilers because the DLC picks up right at the end of the main game, so you really cannot talk about it in any other term. So listen to
in the
Platinum
title, you say it's
thoughts.
a must-play chapter in the Horizon story.
So I would just, it does very much fit. Yeah. Some quick spoiler-free review would be I would be surprised if Horizon 3 comes out, you should play this.
Which we're sure it will.
and Horizon 3 is going to come out, so you should play this.
Okay.
Because this doesn't feel like a random add-on chapter. This feels like Horizon 2.5. Like,
would you compare it to the Spider-Man DLC?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So similar feeling where it very much feels like it matters.
It'll matter to the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some news for this week. So, firstly, give me how do you feel about this? Let's talk about it. Jack Black's Peaches from the Mario movie has entered the Billboard Hot 100. Right, it's Polygon. Super Mario Bros. Movie is a pretty big deal. So big, in fact, that it earned more than $500 million within its 9 days theatrical debut. As if it were enough, the film's original song Peaches, performed and written by Bowser voice actor Jack Black, debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 83 this week, earning Black his first ever solo single to date. According to Billboard, Peaches was released on April 7th, so amassed 5.8 million streams in the US and 6,000 downloads within its first week. The release of the single was accompanied by a hilarious live-action music video featuring Black, dressed in a Bowser-like green suit and red headdress, seated at a porch, peach-colored piano and crooning the song's lyrics with its typical flair for physical theatrics. How do you feel about Peaches getting into the Billboard Top 100? And how do you feel about people wanting this fucking song? And no offense, I think this is a hilarious song. It's very funny. One of the best parts of the movie. But people reckoning this should get an Oscar nomination? No, it should not get an original song nomination. I'm sorry. I guarantee you there's going to be so many better songs. This is a funny song. It's not. Oh, sorry.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm happy it made the Billboard Top 100. I mean, I was personally upset when I got out of the film and was not able to listen to a version of Peaches as soon as possible. You know, so yeah. At least the option is there that people who have gone to see the movie now can come out and listen to Peaches on repeat, constantly. But yeah, I mean, it's good song, catchy. Do I think it's going to be nominated for an Academy Award? Probably not. But if it comes down between this and whatever Diane Warren song she's released for whatever crazy movie she's been asked to write a song for this year, I would pick this. You know,
fair.
Yeah,
I
don't care if it's another song about female empowerment. Let's do the Peaches song. You know, get them ratings. Because everybody will tune in to watch Jack Black sing about Peaches. And all these Hollywood types be like, what the hell is Mario?
If he doesn't perform at Oscars, get Jack Black to perform the Game Awards.
Yeah, maybe.
He's very likely to do that. And he would do that.
Yeah, okay. Let's throw it out there. Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley, yeah. I know you're listening.
I know you definitely are listening to this podcast. As you do every week. Jack Black. Game Awards. Peaches.
Sponsored by.
Or get the orchestra. Use your orchestra. Big medley. Make a surprise. Do it celebrating Super Mario's, the history of Mario music. And then right at the end, Jack Black walks out. In this costume.
Yeah, full costume. Yeah.
Lighting changes.
Yeah. Suddenly.
And there's a bunch of Peaches dancers, you know.
All right. Make it happen, Jeff. Let's go over there.
Make sure you cut that audio out and put it on.
Yeah, okay. Everything
just in case this week you decide to skip this section.
Let's go over everything announced at the Indie World Nintendo Direct that happened a couple of days ago. Or no, last week when you listened to this, I guess. But stop on the stuff that matters to you or matters to me, but I'll go for everything. Because I overall, did you watch this at all, or did you just watch it?
I didn't watch it. I've flicked through a bunch of stuff, and I caught some of it, but
because I was going to say, very good indie direct. Not the game everyone wanted, because of course everyone still wants Silk Song. Silk Song's not.
Is Silk Song indie enough to be in an indie direct?
No. Also, I'm pretty sure Xbox sort of gets the. I feel like they've associated more to that. So. Don't know what you'll say.
Potentially,
but it was overall a very good indie direct. I think there was a bunch of really cool games shown off in here. So, so first they started with Minico's Night Market. talked about this before. I played the Steam demo last year. Very cool game where you go around and you sort of you make these flower. I can't remember what they're called. Like sort of you make things out of flowers and then you're selling them at the night market. But then there's also this weird subplot thing happening where you're trying to save these cats and there's like FBI people out to get the cats for some reason. Don't know. Has a very cool art style.
FBI people do.
Yeah, they get it. They get the cats. Very cool art style. I don't want to say Ghibli inspired, but I don't know what would it be. The story feels Ghibli inspired, but the art feels, I don't know how to call it. But it's very, very interesting art style is the way I put it. But the game looks like a lot of fun, sort of lighthearted silliness and stuff going on. And very keen to play more of it. But I was already sort of keen to play it, so I was happy for it to get a full release date, September 26th. So I'm keen for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have My Time at Soundrock. It's a new entry in the, what did I say?
Soundrock.
Yeah, same thing. It's a new entry in the My Time series. I'm reading off.
Doesn't say he gets sound.
It's true.
Maybe
I'm subconsciously like Anakin, and I can't. My brain was like, "Don't say that word." So My Time at Sandrock is a live scene with a ton of customization and possibilities as you work to restore Sandrock, venture into ruins, make new friends, and contend with monsters in melee combat. The game is coming out winter 2023. I've not played the other one of these, so I can't say too much, but it's, it's not farming, but fuck, it feels close.
It feels close, and the combat feels very out of place to everything else.
Yeah. So we're
just building up a civilization. And then there's a bunch of guns pulled out of nowhere and they start shooting a bunch of monsters. Crazy.
So, yeah. And we have Played Up. The popular roguelike cooking sim is coming to Switch. Cook and serve your dishes, design and decorate your restaurant, and expand your culinary kingdom with new unlocks, abilities, and dishes in procedurally generated locations. This comes out October 2023. I think this is coming to PlayStation and Xbox as well, but it was shown in the Switch. But it was already out on PC. I think I've heard this and never paid too much attention to it because I was like, it's only on PC and I don't really care for it. But I thought this looked pretty cool. What do you think?
This looks pretty cool. It looks like
Overcooked. It
looks like Overcooked if you don't have any friends. You're able to build systems to help you cook dishes first.
Play with people as well.
You can, but you can automate stuff to do stuff as well. So you don't need other people.
Yeah. So that's
you don't need people yelling orders at you. You have to say, yes, chef.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peaceful.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm keen to. I think give this one a go. I think it looks fun. From both, it'll be fun to play by yourself, and then definitely more fun than playing something like Overcooked by yourself because that's all totally designed as a co-op experience. Whereas, this seems like it's sort of more in the middle, or even to the point that maybe the single player is the main focus, and it seems like the co-op stuff's like, we added that as well.
It's like, we'll just ramp up the difficulty for multiplayer.
Yeah. Quilts and Cats of Calico, an adaptation of the board game Calico, but the cats are fucking up your game at the same time. This is a new genre, I think. There's now a genre
cats ruining everything?
Yeah, between this and last year's a little bit to the left, which also got DLC announced in the same showcase. There's now a genre of just games where cats walk along the screen and just fuck up your game.
I'm here for it.
2 games is a genre, I think.
One game is a genre, am I right?
Yeah, Strand game.
Strand.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So yeah, 1 game's a genre, so this is the second of the genre. Then we got Rift of the Necro Dancer. So this is a spin-off to the Necro Dancer games, which are about dancing, but not really. They're rhythm battlers, I guess. But
I mean, they're more Zelda-like than this, which looks...
Yes. This looks like... I don't know what it looks like, but I want to play it. How about that?
I mean, honestly, the art style reminds me of Powerpuff Girls. I don't know if that's...
I can go
maybe the text and that kind of stuff. Maybe they're not the actual characters.
I definitely feel like Cartoon Network. So the stuff where they're making food and stuff, that looks Powerpuff Girls-ish, but then the art style in the battles is different sort of art style. So the actual rhythm sections, they look different when you're playing. So, I mean...
It definitely looks more rhythm, Guitar-esque, I guess, combat.
Yeah. So when she's playing it, the main character's playing a guitar.
Yeah.
You're pressing 1 or 3 buttons, left, right, up to the rhythm, which is similar because the way they've taken, I like the way they've taken it because in Crypto Necro Dancer or the Zelda spin-off one, which I've got the name of, but that it's obviously you're pressing left, right, up, down in the rhythm of the music because that's how you have to move. So the way they've translated it to this game is you're still pressing like the D-pad buttons just to do it's sort of it's smart. So I don't really know what's going on in this game. It says there's like a story and all this stuff happening. At one point they're doing yoga and stuff in the trailer. Yeah. So I don't know. I want to play it though. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. And obviously it's been a while since we've had imagery in this franchise. So even though I'm terrible at rhythm games, I'm interested to see what this game is like. Yeah.
This could be the one. This could be the one that breaks your rhythm. Your 2 left feet.
Well, it helps that it's a little bit more rocky, or like it's not like soundtrack instrumentals.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Eh?
Yeah.
Yes. Then they had 25 new puzzles coming to a little to the left with a new DLC called Cupboards and Drawers. I'm sure the cats are hiding in the cupboards and drawers in this DLC, so.
It just pop out.
Just pop out and fuck up your shit. So, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon Puzzles Pack was announced. More content coming to that game if you enjoy it, which I think a lot of people do. I never actually got around to playing it. I know it's on Apple Arcade. I think it was on Apple Arcade, or you had
that sounds right. Yeah.
I don't know if it ever came to obviously now it's on Switch, but I think it's just on Apple Arcade to play if I wanted to play it because it would be easier and cheaper. Shovel Knight just has a million spin-offs at the stage. I can't really keep up. It's fucking crazy. Cult of the Lamb Relics of the Old Faith update. So dozens of new items, relics, enemies, remixed dungeons, new buildings and followers, and a whole new unlockable quest and free new modes, all coming in this massive update that is free. Are you going to dive back into Cult of the Lamb to play the Relics of the Old Faith update, Ash?
Maybe. Depends on when it drops. Is there a date?
Yeah, I think it's soon. How about that?
Well, then probably April 24th. So probably not with potential games coming out next week. Okay. Fair. But maybe down the line,
Yeah, down the line.
Get that itch to
that's my answer
to indoctrinate random people into a cult.
I want to play it, but I don't know.
You know that itch everybody gets.
Yeah, I do that every now. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, fuck, I'd love to indoctrinate someone into my cult this morning. Like, need to get that.
Make them do my bidding.
Yeah, make them do my bidding. That's really what gets my socks off in the morning. Then there was a trailer for Animal War. So this is an atmospheric, pixelated, and open-ended adventure. Animal Well, set in a labyrinth full of creatures that interact with both friendly and non-friendly ways. So this has been made by one developer. We've seen this before in a couple different showcases. It's most notable because it's being published. It's the first game being published by Video Game Donkey's publishing studio. He also showed up in the video announcing this trailer thing, which was quite funny. So, I think this looks really good. I think it's one of the best looking standouts in the show. It has a really interesting and distinct art style. Seems like something Devolver would publish, to be completely blunt, but it's not Devolver. So, do you care for this or no?
Nope. Looks pretty.
Yep.
But yeah.
Crime O'Clock. This is a puzzle exploration game with 40 cases to solve across time and space. Kieran from Pressbart says it looks like a big, huge Where's Wally, but across time and more stressful on his brain, which, that's about my feelings of it. It looks like too much for me, to be completely honest. Or at least the trailer made it seem like way too confusing.
You're like, oh, it's like Where's Wally? And then they're like, and then you do things and affects time, and then stuff happens and
because I was like,
change.
Where's Wally's hard enough? You know what I mean? Where's Wally is hard enough for some of us, let alone whatever the fuck's going on in this game. So, not for me. Looks really cool, really innovative. Puzzle genre twisting thing going on here, but I'm going to say not for me on this one. How about you?
I don't know exactly what you're looking for as a thing, so I'm excited to find out. And this looks cool.
Yeah. So this would surely come on.
Let's solve some mysteries.
Let's solve some mysteries. Right, you can
fix time.
Teslagrad 2 is coming out now. It's out now. So as well as a remaster of the original game. I played the original. It's fun. It's not something I'm super attached to or would care to go out and play the second one, but the graphics or the art style update more so looks really awesome on the first game and then seeing the art style on the second game, which just a lot more characterization and everything. Because the first one came out as a PS3 generation game, so there was like obviously more limitations and stuff there. But yeah, I'll definitely say it looks a lot better. And I had to go back and look at the original game, and I was like, holy shit, art style looks way cooler. So yeah, probably not. I don't think I'm going to have time for that one. And it's very down low on my list of things I would make time for, but maybe one day. Maybe. We're then getting Shadows Over Loathing. This is a West of Loathing universe slapstick adventure RPG that's coming to Switch. So it basically just looks like the South Park game, but with stick figures, right?
Yeah, I guess kind of. You know,
like the first one, not the
it looks like West of Loathing, so but in like a modern day kind of setting, whereas West of Loathing was like a Western, I guess.
Yeah.
I've
never played West of Loathing, so
no, yeah, it's kind of crazy that this franchise is kind of built off this browser-based multiplayer role-playing game from back in like the early 2000s, of just people with stick figures and shit. So, yeah, I mean, good for them. They're still making games, and people are buying them, I guess.
Good for them. Blasphemous 2 was announced. Well, no, I think it was already announced, to be honest. But it's got a rough release date now of winter 2023. So this is a side-scrolling, super hard sort of platform, classic sort of Castlevania-esque thing. Looks really cool. I know people love the first one. Art style looks insane. I'm pretty sure they're fighting Jesus at some point in this trailer. But yeah, so for people who love the first one, more of that is coming your way very soon for you to check your Switch. That would be
blasphemous to be fighting Jesus.
That would be blasphemous. So there's some insane looking boss fights that they flick through towards the end of this trailer. So then you got Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. So the sequel to Oxenfree will finally arrive on July 12th. Looks very, very pretty. I'm very keen for this, even as someone who's I think I reviewed the first one for my little blog back in the day. I think I gave it like a 7.5 or something like that. Like I didn't love it as much as some other people, so I don't have like a huge attachment. But it's just such an interesting concept and world that sort of my feelings about the characters and stuff like that. Did I? Yep. Did I bring that one across? Or there you go. 7 out of 10. So fuck, my memory is like nearly good, but yeah, I'm keen to play this. I'm keen to see why they really return, because it's the same character returning to the island for some reason. But I guess the difference between this game and the first one is these characters in the first one, or the main character, they're there as a teenager or whatever, and then you're discovering the mystery and freaking out at the same time and all this sort of stuff. Whereas this one, they're fully aware of what the fuck, they're not fully understanding what's going on. They're aware of like there's something wrong with this place, or there's something up with this place. So the game's going to have a little bit of a different feel to it. So either way, I'm very keen. I like the studio as much as I think their last game ran like arse at release.
It's all right. They got their Netflix money.
Hey?
They got their Netflix money now. So
yeah, it's true. They do have that.
It'll run perfectly on Netflix.
I mean, when they tweeted out this Oxenfree 2 trailer, I looked in the Twitter replies, and the amount of people just going, on Netflix, what the fuck? And the amount of responses from the Oxenfree 2 account just like copy pasting the same answer of, you can look forward to playing our game on mobile devices with a Netflix subscription. You can look forward to playing Oxenfree 2 on a mobile device. Like people still don't. And I mean, I completely don't put anything past them. Of course, no one understands what this means. When you put our trailer in at the end, it's like you can play it on Switch, PlayStation, and Netflix. People are like, what the fuck does that? Is it like those games they put on Netflix, like the make your own choice ones? What do you mean? Like, do I hook a controller? Yet. Not yet.
Because I don't know if that was the story this week or last week.
No.
They want to bring.
Yeah, I think that was like
actual Netflix.
Yeah. So people being confused doesn't surprise me. It's just funny that they should do it. Netflix should do a lot better job at marketing that, or have something pop up. Like just force a pop up on every single Netflix user's account that says, "Hey, did you know you can get access to games?"
I mean, it's pretty prominent when you're using the mobile app.
When you're using the mobile app, but how many people only use the TV app?
Well, then it's not going to be much use.
I know, but they might. But if they've got it, just because they don't open on their phone because they're not fucking animals and watching shit on their phones when they should be watching it on their TV, doesn't mean they wouldn't open it. Well, actually, no, you don't need to open it on your phone to access the games.
Well, yes, you do. You need to go through Netflix first to install it.
To install it, that's right, true. Because I did it once to see how it worked, and it was a little bit convoluted, yeah. Then other things, they had a bunch of like mentions in a little whatchamacallit thing.
Montage.
Little kitty, big city. You're a kitty in a big city. Chance of Sinar. Rotato. What? Chance of Sinar. What was that one? I can't remember what that was.
You're chanting in Sinar.
Okay, cool. That's great. Brotato.
You're a potato that's got bros.
Escape Academy, the complete edition.
You escape an academy.
And it's complete this time. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
This one's fucked up.
This is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, last news story for this week. Unrecorded dev posts no clip video to prove the realistic body cam FPS isn't fake. So, PC Gamer writes, yesterday, whenever they wrote this, developer Alexandre Spindler and Studio Drama revealed Unrecorded, a first-person shooter with a striking body cam perspective which frequently sells the illusion of being real camera footage. It's so convincing that some questions whether they were looking at pre-rendered on-rails game or perhaps actual footage. A few hours after announcement, Splinter responded saying, quote, "It's not a rail shooter or an FMV. It is indeed an FPS, and these images are from real-time gameplay, not pre-rendered," end quote. Today, Splinter went further, uploading new video of the game, embedded above this, and the tweet below, which includes the Unreal Engine user interface. Near the end of the video, he frees up the camera, no clipping through the level to prove that it's genuinely a FPS with free movement. For those who thought Unrecorded was fake or a video, sorry, Splinter wrote.
So for people who don't understand what no clipping means,
you clip through the wall.
You run through the wall.
You run through the wall to like fall through the...
Which would be extremely difficult to replicate.
In real life?
In real life, yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
But not impossible.
I mean, true. A lot contributes to the believability of Unrecorded's body cam footage, and it isn't all raw graphical fidelity. The exposure adjustment effect, where the sky transitions from overblown to cloudy, it's very effective. The freehand movement is another big part of illusion. The camera follows the motion of the hands on a delay, as if generally responding to movements of a chest. So this game has been sort of one of the most interesting stories of the past week to follow. This trailer just sort of came out of nowhere. It was less a trailer, more of like it honestly seems like a proof of concept sort of video type thing. A very short gameplay snippet that was sort of uploaded, and then people started quite retweeting and just sort of blew up. But it's this, so it's this game where apparently you're playing as this. Hold on, I think I can find. Let me pull up the full. I can find it in probably 2 seconds.
Steam page or something.
Yeah, Steam page. Let me just read it. So the full description says, Unrecorded is a single-player FPS that tells the story of a tactical police officer from the perspective of his body camera. As you work to solve a complex case, you'll need to use your tactical and detective skills to succeed. So, yeah, the gameplay video that was uploaded shows this dude's like running through a warehouse, shooting people and all sorts of stuff. And then right at the end, a couple of times he gets choice options for what to say and stuff. But it does honestly, especially, so the first time I watched it was on my phone because it popped up on Twitter. I watched the video and it looked super fucking realistic on my phone because I think of the smaller screen. Once I viewed it on a bigger screen later when I watched it, I could point out like the gamey parts were a lot more evident. But that first time I watched it, it did very much just look like full on just body camera footage. People talking about this game all week though has started a lot of interesting conversations around like is this like what's the point of this? Is this good? Is this bad? Like now the bad comes from, but do we really want to play in a world where we're reading about every other week some body camera footage of a cop shooting an unarmed person of color or something like that in America predominantly? Do we want to play a video game where you're playing as a cop from the body camera, or is that just a bit weird? So that's where sort of the uncomfortable feeling a lot of people have around the game, I think, has come from. Then you've got the people who are just talking about from a gameplay and design perspective of this is just fucking too bouncy and too weird and sort of going to make me feel sick. That's been a thing I've seen pop up a lot as well. And then, of course, you've got the same sort of people calling out that as much as even if this is gameplay and is a thing, is this going to fall into the same wheelhouse as that fucking game Zach thinks is real, that horror game. You know what I mean? Like just
the day before. It's meant to be reported on Press Start this week. Meant to be coming to, meant to be getting a beta.
Cool, good for that fake game. What you? I don't talk about it. It's not a real game. What did you think of this video and gameplay and stuff?
It looks realistic. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. Obviously, the movement wise, if you were to replicate it like truly and properly, the camera would be moving up and down as people is moving their bodies, but you could just fake it so the guy is not moving his chest as much, I guess, to smooth it out. Whether people want to play a game with body game footage with that perspective, it's going to be completely up to the individual person. I completely understand why someone would be put off by that, but on the scale of video game stuff, this is pretty, of what all the crazy shit that are in video games. I don't think having something from this perspective is not necessarily the worst thing that's ever been put out there, And this is far from like a AAA game. It might feel a bit different if it was like the next Call of Duty game. It's like, we're going to play in the next Call of Duty. You're going to go on these missions in completely from body cam thing, as if you're experiencing it right in the moment and that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is just like a small dev wanting to do something to stand out, from the rest of the people making games. So I think, interesting. We'll see how it plays out. It depends on what story and what the action is going to actually be like in the actual game. Maybe he's just shooting at white people and it's all good.
As of the recording, they put up a post yesterday on their Steam page on April 20th, Thursday. Post reveal, response to questions and concerns from players. It's a game. It's a subheader for that. Number 1, scam or real gameplay footage. There have been many doubts raised about the authenticity of the gameplay. The game is developed in Unreal Engine 5, and the game footage is captured from an executable and played using a keyboard and mouse. It is not a VR game. In reality, it seems rather flattering to compare the graphics of Unrecorded to reality, but unfortunately, we know that a game first focuses on gameplay and universe on which we primarily concentrate. Considering the high production cost of a video game and our global reputation at stake, I don't know. Anyway, if Recorded were a scam, it would be a blockbuster scam. Therefore, it is not logical. It's not a logical one. We don't use any real videos or external rendering to Unreal Engine for the creation of Unrecorded. Unrecorded is real. Pro-police or anti-police? As a French studio addressing a global audience, the game does not engage in any foreign policy and is not inspired by any real-life events. The game will obviously avoid any undesirable topics such as discrimination, racism, violence against women, and minorities. The game, I think that's a translation or auto-translate problems I'm running into here. But the game will not biased or take on criminal acts and police violence. We also respect and understand people who may feel disturbed by the game's images. Art cannot fight against interpretation. Justifying the undisclosed content of the game would be a spoiler, and you will discover the direction of the themes for yourself. The public generally trusts films, TV series, novelize on the intelligence of the point of view when it comes to detective, gangster, or police stories. Why not a video game? If the game presents political messages, they'll be made consciously or in your interpretation. If the game aims to be subversive in some certain countries, we will assume the label. They expect the release. In reality, the expected release time, blah, blah, blah. Long story short for the release time is they don't fucking know. It's probably still ages away. I think it's, I think it's super interesting. I'm keen to follow this one because it does actually seem like a real video game, and like some of the other ones we've been following. It does seem very early in development though.
Well, Unreal Engine 5, that's only been released.
That's a new one, so
this year. So
yeah.
Really, it goes to show the power of Unreal Engine 5, like what you're able to do in that to make for the teams who have come into this reasonably quickly and been able to
get this
put something like this together, which I think was like a driving force behind the release of Unreal Engine 5 and like a lot of selling points and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I definitely feel like if it came out like tomorrow, I'd want to play it because the complete free movement of the gun and everything that stands out, less the body cam thing, just the full free movement of the gun and like the way it controls is very different. I'd want to give it a go. That said, and it's nothing against the studio or the game or whatever, I completely understand if people are like, I don't want to play this, it feels weird. Because you see these videos all the time. It's not about the content. So I guess I differentiate there. What's the difference between this and a cop-based movie? It's totally the perspective. I guess that's the thing. So if someone out there goes, this game makes me uncomfortable and they don't want to play it, I think that's fair. I don't think that's a weird reaction to have. Like the entire game is from the body cam perspective. There's body cam videos of people fucking terrorists shooting up mosques and body cam videos of police shooting unarmed black kids. You know what I mean? Like it's just the game looks like those videos. So that's the major difference.
If during the game he's questioning somebody, it takes the body cam off and then turns it back on and it's just a bloody person with in the corner.
That'd be the difference maker there.
That would be the difference maker, but
Yeah. I'm not assuming that the game will be bad, but I'm just saying I understand why some people, especially if people of color who live in America, may find this more.
So I'm not 100% certain on whether that perspective is completely accurate.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's raised up. It doesn't.
I think it's like eye level. Really.
Yeah.
It's like he's wearing Google glasses.
It's like he's got a GoPro on his head, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite there because then it's a first-person shooter, or just a normal first-person shooter. But all right,
I mean, maybe it's just a first-person shooter and they've just blurred out the corners. That's it. That's the only difference.
Unreal Engine 5 is a game changer. So, all right, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Let us know your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, anything we've discussed this week or not discussed this week. I don't really care. You can find us on Twitter, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. explosionnetwork.com/Discord takes you to our Discord page. And if you thought this episode was worth $1 or more, head on over to our Ko-fi page, explosionnetwork.com/support, and buy us a coffee over there. See you here next week, same time. Actually, I won't be here next week. Fuck you. Actually, I will be.
No, you will.
Not for the whole show. I'll be here for half episode. Look forward to Ash and Kieran hosting you next week, same time, the same couch. Goodbye.